You're listening to Real People's Media. If you don't know who we are, you will soon.
There's been a few kind of big things that have happened over the last number of weeks, and some decisions that you've made, and a walk and a protest that you're organizing. Can you talk a bit about what's been going on and what the people are doing?
Okay, well, yeah, it was super busy within the last month and a half of, like finding out where we're at and, like what's going on with our band and all that. So we did catch up a lot on the meetings when we went to the Wate and Sagate meetings with the 22 chiefs. And that's where the truth really came out, what exactly is happening. We got a better understanding where we're at as Saugeen people. Yeah, and this is so sad to say. That was what we all wanted to know at the beginning was, you know, where do we stand? What's our future look like? Like, we're always left in the air, just like we've told you guys before. Like, you know, we were never told of anything as Saugeen people. So now we got this whole big of information on our hands, and now we're just kind of wondering what to do, how to do this, and how can we get our leadership to come across honestly to us and tell us, you know, he should have told us all this instead of us finding out. But I'm glad we did go to that meeting to find out anyway, because we would have still been in the same boat as to trying to get answers from our own leadership and the band lawyer. And they were the ones that were holding all information on us. We don't know why. Maybe they're trying to sneak some corporate things through without the people knowing. I don't know. I don't know what's on their minds or how the intelligence of their minds work. Yeah, so anyways, yeah, we found out a lot of things. Now we're kind of like, we're in a big mess. That's all I could say. And just trying to sort it out and organize ourselves, you know, to find out more information where we're at. And now this new thing came up, what kind of jarred everybody awake, I guess, and, you know, wondering, like, what is really going on here in the north. The latest that we found out is with this residential school thing. And, like, you know, as we have said over and over, we are a product of the residential school. That is why we are so functional. It was meant to happen like that to us. But a lot of people will never understand that, and they'll say, oh, get over it and all that. But it is something you really can't get over, you know, when you're still living it and trying to get out of it. That's the hard part. And then when you start to believe like people will help you, no, they're not there to help you. They help themselves. So anyways, with the residential school, we found out that, you know, and through the paper, we found out that, you know, our chief was a chief that had written a character reference on behalf of the band lawyer. And us Saugeen people, under signatories to the band, were never even told of this. We didn't know nothing about it. And that's why we said, what? Like, what's going on? You know, like that. And so anyways, that's where we're at right now, because it's all kind of all over the place, this thing right now. I can't really put it in form and in order. But right now we're just scrambling and, you know, trying to find out, you know, why Doug Keshen was awarded 3 sharing circles. And we'd like to know who the elders are as well who had said this. But there's 2 ways to understanding that. The way I thought about it is, I don't know, maybe our elders were thinking about our 7 grandfather teachings where, you know, we might have to be humble to him, to the lawyer. I don't know. But I don't really know how they would see this. I don't know if those, if the elders are also residential school survivors. But you see, Anishinaabe has a lot of empathy, even though the way they get treated they still have that softness in their heart for another human. And that's what I'm kind of thinking is happening here, maybe, but there's still a lot of things that need to be answered, such as why are they moving fast to do this? It's not right what's being done right now without the people knowing, and so many hurting people in this Anishinaabe nation.
Now, just to stop you there for a second, Darlene, the issues that you've had with Doug Keshen, who is the lawyer of your for your band and who's working on behalf of your band, could you just identify what some of those issues are? Because if I remember correctly, this new thing about came about because there were charges that were or complaints that were raised against him through the Law Society, and the Law Society, after an investigation, decided not to go ahead. But could you speak about what those underlying issues are that you have in regards to the lawyer and your chief?
Well, okay. The way I see it is, and this is my own opinion, the way I see it is our chief never went to residential school. He has no idea what we're talking about, or he's never made the time to really want to understand about anything because he's just that way. Well, the one thing why we're going to do this walk starting tomorrow is we were dealing with my mom's issues even way before this has happened. From the way these papers that were handed to us, my mom, she was supposed to get $98,000 at the beginning of all this residential school thing when it came out, right? So, anyways, as time went by, 4 years later, she only got $36,000, you know. And to me, that like blew me away. Like the way I look at it and the way I believe it is, the elders should have got way more because they were the ones in their generation that went through the hardest times. Like, you know, the physical abuse, the sexual abuse, you know, the slapping of the face for speaking your language, you know, like they went all through that. And it was mainly, I find, the elders of the generations past that had the hardest, and they should have received more, and they should have been treated with more respect, not just a number and a piece of paper. So that's the way I see it with my mom. With my mom, it's very confusing, and I don't really have the time to really explain detail. But I will, in time when I'm doing this walk, I will bring out the letter that I had written on behalf of my mom when I had seen this going down, and how I watched and observed how the other people were being treated from different lawyers and all that. I observed, and you know, it's sad to say, my mom was the worst in what I observed. Even though I know the other ones, I haven't really heard their stories, but I can only speak on my mom's. I feel her residential school issues were not taken seriously. It was more, let's get this done, let's get it out of the way, we'll give you a little cheap money and go and get over it. I don't know, that's how I felt about it, and that's the way I feel today about it, like, you know.
And your concerns have to do with how much the lawyers took out of those settlements, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that got ripped off, and they know it. They wouldn't be saying that because, again, I have to say, Anishinaabe, again, like, now I guess they're, I should say Anishinaabe never really asked for much, only what is given to them. Okay? So that's a difference I find, and then this guy knew about it. He has bragged that he has worked with the Anishinaabe for most of his life and worked in the Northwestern Territory, and he's worked with the Anishinaabe. Okay, if you have worked that long with Anishinaabe, wouldn't you know by then to be as humble as them and not be greedy? I don't know. Those are my own questions again. Yeah. But he helped himself. I don't know, maybe it's the naiveness of the Indians, you know, where they always, you know, they're very patient. they'll hear out the other person, and that's just the way I see them and know them in our area. Yeah. So I feel that, this was done all wrong. And, and the sad thing is these are professionals in the upper law society. It's really, I have a hard time comprehending that sometimes when I think about professionals, because you put them on a pedestal and then you expect that they would do a good job for you since they are getting paid and they are professionals. They went through their whole life going to school just to get that piece of paper. But then, and then they turn around and do this. I really got a hard time looking at professionals nowadays. Yeah, and with the Law Society, I just feel they're siding with him. It speaks clearly on their paper how it's maneuvering to get this guy off. But I think this guy should do the time if he's done the crime. I mean, us street people, us Indians on the street, we always hear that. We always go to jail for little wee things, and if there's any truth in all this matter, well, you do the crime, you do the time. Nobody is an exception, because we're not no exception to the world either.
Now, there's also, in addition to the residential school issues that you've had with your band's lawyer, there's also been a whole number of different corporations and, timber companies and mining interests that have been involved in your community, and that could you talk a little bit about how the lawyer and the chief are interacting with those companies, and what kind of an information and knowledge the grassroots people have of what's going on, and what efforts you've made to become aware of what's happening on your land?
Well, okay. Well, with the band lawyer, right now, because again, I gotta always stress out, there's a lot of things that we're not told, so I'm always grabbing at the stuff that I know a little bit. And, okay, right now, with the forestry, right now, our chief has cutting rights in the Treaty 3 territory, right across the reserve line, right across the highway. And that's where our chief has got cutting rights. He did get a permit from the MNR, Ontario Ministry of Natural Resources, or Forestry Resources. He did get a permit, and now he is working with Resolute Forestry as well. That is the latest information I found out on that. When I had asked a year before, nobody told me nothing, and they wouldn't tell us anything. So now we know our chief is involved in the forestry cutting. We had heard that he has 4 to 5 years employment doing that. And that's about it. And we were blown away again when we heard that he got a permit from the MNR. Like, where do we really stand on this? That's what we just can't wrap our brains around this, where, where do we stand? And then, our chief gets to prosper. And, again, we as off-reserve members are out. We don't get nothing. Even if our chief has that employment there, and it's not government, federal funded money that's going into this forestry cutting, it is a private organization, I guess. And then, yeah. So anyways, that's where we're at with that. It's a lot of things that we're finding out really quickly right now as to how these people have been running the show, and where they have been keeping us grassroots in the dark about everything pretty well.
Can I ask you when your chief was last elected by the people, or chosen by the people, and what kind of a relationship there is between the people and the chief who speaks on behalf of the people and deals with the lawyer and with the corporations and with the crown?
Well, with our chief, at the beginning of time when this reserve first developed, he has self-proclaimed himself the chief. Somebody else would have won, but I won't get into that. But he went to the next little town and got the people that he was working with to sign in on him. That's what was said. But our chief, now I got lost again. I was trying to think. I got like so much things to think about. I just get all mixed up sometimes. Like a lot of things run in my head, like a lot. Like what I want to get out now, just like I screwed it up.
No, don't worry about it.
Yeah, but anyways, our chief, he had elected himself way at the beginning of time. That was over 38 years ago, and he has never had a review. But we are pushing for a review on December the 9th at 2018. But again, we know we're just going to get dicked around. They just gave us a date, and that's how it always happens with us, anyways. Our chief has never been re-elected. We don't go through elections. Yeah, he just picked himself and he stays on till he dies. He's a chief till he dies, and that's how our convention sits.
And his immediate family members are the people running the reserve and all the positions within that system, right? Yeah, exactly. Only their immediate family, just like the chief's a chief, his wife's the administrator, their oldest daughter is a headman, and their son is a mental health worker, and the oldest daughter's husband, he's a NAPS officer too. So it's all that little regime. I don't know what that is, but that's how it sits in the north right now with this band. And I know, and nobody argue with me on this, we got the worst reserve as in leadership right now because of the way things are structured and the things that we're finding out. Okay, like our ban list, okay, I want to question that. Our ban list, when I looked at it, there's a bunch of kids' names on there, like children, and on brackets it says like they own the band, right? The ones that are in the reserve are the ones that own the band. And we're saying, well, when did this happen? When do people start owning a band? Like, explain to us what this means. But again, when we ask these questions, they act all hurt. They act like, I don't know, to me they got childish minds. Because if you were an adult, if you had respect for your nation, for the people that are feeding you, then you should be cooperative with the people, if that is the position that you like. You know what I'm getting at? Mm-hmm. Now,
that's I've always wondered about that. So there is a lot of things that we still need to bring up as Saugeen issues within the last 2 years. But again, we're only promised meetings and they never happen. And again, this is Doug Keshen's doing. Me and the chief don't talk verbally to each other. We always have to go through Keshen. I don't know why it's set up like that, but then I could understand why our chief would hang on to his coattail, just like the way the lawyer hangs on to his coattail as well. So they hang on to each other's hands here. That's the way I see it, because we're not getting nowhere. Yeah, we're not getting nowhere with these people when they're doing this. How can we Canadians, allow this to happen in our free and native land, right? Like all Canadians. How can we? I just don't understand it. No, I don't. But I do know that we need to find correction and justification on this somehow, some way.
Now, what happened with there were some meetings that happened that brought together the women, the clan mothers, the traditional people from your community, from a number of different families, and you had a movement underway to dehorn your chief and replace him by somebody picked directly from the people in the community. What happened with that, and where did that end up going?
Okay, right now we still are standing strong together, But the way things are around here, as to the gathering and meeting with the clan's mothers, it's really hard for me to kind of run this clan's mother thing, because they pushed me again ahead to do this, and we still are standing together on this as the clan's mothers, but we never really situated ourselves yet, because I live in Thunderbay and they all live up north, right? And it's a 5-hour drive, and I don't have money for gas. I don't have no money for wheels. So I try to make it there when I can get there, and then I gather them up really quickly with the time limit I got to, because when I travel with people, they're always rushing. They gotta go, they gotta be here, they gotta go here, they gotta go there, and and a lot of times I try to work in between when I have to do this. So it's very hard to do this work with no money and no wheels, right? So we still do communicate through the phone a lot. We do keep each other up to date, and that's pretty well what we're doing. But once I move back to Savant, I think we'll be more in order, and we'll be more stand together more, because I feel there's the 5 that are living right in the reserve. There's the chief's son. He goes and rounds and intimidates these old people. We're not lying. We don't exaggerate our situations. We speak on them as we see them. So that's the way that's happening. Our elders, they do get intimidated. The guy pushes them around. He's not in his right mind. I have to say that. Sorry, but that is the truth. He comes across as a bully, and he intimidates people. Yeah, but the sad thing is he can go ahead and do that under the cover of his father as a chief and do that on the reserve. But little does he know, a lot of people are not scared of him. They're just scared what they can do back at him. That's where we stand with that.
Now, what happened with John Mishimity, one of the chief's brothers? Because we did an interview with him on Real People's Media, and he talked about many of the same problems that you're describing and went into detail about what was happening. And then, as I understand it, he received some threats, and there was a kind of escalation of tension. Can you
okay, we're still kind of waiting on news about that, and that's 3 weeks ago already, but I don't know where the police are on this, or even if they're doing an investigation on this. We had complained, we had called auto, we had done all that we can, to bring this issue out. And Johnny, Marvin pointed a gun at Johnny. Okay, so there are other witnesses that seen that, but Johnny, he knows that this will not be taken seriously. He was told that he lied about it. He goes, "There is nothing I would lie about that. It is the truth." There are witnesses that saw that, but when I had phoned the Ignace detachment, I had asked about this to see if they're doing anything or looking into the matter of this guy doing that to Johnny. They said it was under investigation, and that's all we heard. Again, there's the professionals. Again, this is what we have to deal with. Maybe our problems are not serious enough. I don't know. But as it goes, we are still waiting for some kind of response from the OPP on what's happening or see what's going on. Or else, like always, like every other issue that happens on the reserve, it gets swept under the rug, especially when it has to do with the chief's family. They get away with everything. They can get away with murder, I think, too, if they were given that.
So tell me a bit about your plan for your walk.
Okay, the plan for our walk is tomorrow at 9 o'clock. My sister and I were going to start off because this came so quickly. And on account of what we heard last week about the sharing circles that the lawyer has to do, that upset everybody. Everybody just had this big question mark in their head, like, what's going on? And I did phone the North. I did talk to a number of elders, and they said they were pretty upset at what had happened, that should not happen. And I said, I agree. So there was a few of them that came to me, and they said that their cases were never looked at. And I said, I know. That's what's happening with this residential school thing. Everybody's taking bits and pieces of it, and bits and pieces are healing, and bits and pieces are, it's not the whole nation the way we understand it as a healing. We didn't know. You were selected. You were picked in bits and pieces, and that's the way we see that on that, yeah.
So you're leaving from Thunderbay tomorrow, and you're walking to Kenora?
We'll be starting at 9:00 from Tim Hortons at Arthur Street. We got one of the guys to do smudging and prayer and sending us off. And my sister and I will be starting it off tomorrow, and we are walking to Kenora. It should take us 14 days. We're kind of thinking if we do the leapfrog walk. And it's to bring out these issues again about the residential school. And then once we get to Kenora, then we are going to do a one-day peaceful protest in front of his office, needing answers. Yeah, needing answers, and I got a message as well that I have to deliver, but I can't bring that out right now, so... Yeah.
Do you have are you going to be able to update on social media, on your Facebook or elsewhere as you're traveling?
We will. I think we're going to post up a new page for this walk, specifically for this walk, and keep up to date on it. Like, we'll try to do it on a daily basis, but then when you're walking in the highway, you can't really update anything, right? And we get later on to a room or wherever we're going to sleep. We're not even sure where we're going to sleep either, because we're doing this and we're doing it with no money. So but we're doing it. I don't know if we're going to succeed or not, but we're going to go give it our best.
And what day do you think you'll be in Kenora? Are you estimating?
Well, we figure like 2 weeks. Probably at the end of May, probably 26th, 27th maybe. Yeah, we're kind of thinking about those days, but depending on how much walkers we got and how the legs go.
If people want to donate money to you and to support this walk and your struggles, how can they do that?
I don't know. I'm going to get my sister to kind of look after this area because she's really trustworthy, my sister. So I'll get her to do the fundraising, especially for gas. We're going to probably need gas mainly to keep going. Yeah. Because
you're going to have a vehicle following you? Is that the idea?
We have to have a vehicle with us at all times because you cannot go out there on your own and then, But I think the first 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, we might have a vehicle drop us off. Then we're going to walk up to Kakabeka and get somebody to pick us up. And then the next day we're going to go from Kakabeka to the junction on Dawson and Highway 599. Highway 17, sorry. Highway 17, so that'll be the 2 days covered there with my sister and I, so, yeah. And then from there, once we get past the junction to Highway 17, then we're on the road. We're going to stay on the road. But for the first 2 days, we're going to be dipping back into town and picking up where we left off. Because we still don't have a driver, we're asking for a driver that can devote their time to driving for 2 weeks, but we can't find anybody right now. So we're just kind of scrounging around and maybe ask this elder lady to help us, I think. Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll put this out on our social media, this interview, and hopefully people that are interested or that want to help out can find a way to do so. is there a, like, outside of Facebook, or like, is there I'm just wondering how people could get a hold of you. I guess we can post updates on Real People's Media, and anytime you have access to a phone, you could text or call me, and I'll call you back, and we can record another one of these interviews over the phone and put it up real quick.
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, but we'll go on a day-to-day basis because not every day is the same. So yeah, but we will try our best to communicate that way. Yeah, I think that sounds reasonable. Yeah.
All right. Well, Darlene, thanks very much for this update, and we'll continue to be in touch and continue to follow this story. And please stay safe on that road. And I wish you the best of luck with this initiative, and hope that you'll finally be able to get the justice that you've been struggling for so many years. Yeah,
it's hard. It's hard. Yeah. Oh yeah, we'll do it, and then we'll hopefully we get it done. And thank you very much, Chimigo, to everybody, for at least listening to us and our struggles. Yeah, and we will do our best anyway. Yeah.